shocking story of Robert Yummy Sandifer. Sandifer was 11 and a member of the BDs, David's Barkdale set, aka King David. In 1994, his story made headlines and was then featured on the Time magazine due to his age and him being killed by his fellow gang members. Robert Sandifer was born in Chicago, Illinois on March 12, 1983. Sandifer's mother, Lorena Sandifer, had over 30 arrests while prosecuting, many of which were drug-related. Sandifer's father, Robert Ankins, were absent throughout Sandifer's life due to incarceration of a felony gun charges. Robert Yummy Sandifer was known to have come from a broken home. In the home where he grew up with his mother at the time, they said that she wasn't able to take care of herself and the 8 other kids she had at the time. It has been said that Yummy Sandifer had a very long rap sheet where he was getting in trouble for all the stuff that he was doing. Most of the run-ins he had with them was to do with situations where he was doing something for the gang and they end up catching up with him. There was nothing that they could have done at the time because of his age, and they also feared putting him around other kids. In one of the interviews that was done at his neighborhood, some people remembered him as being a normal kid growing up, loving cookies. Others remembered him as being this bad kid that would get into a lot of trouble, break into people's houses. His aunt specifically felt that it was being sort of exaggerated by the media at the time. So the Black Disciples. In this documentary right here, it briefly tells you what happened back in the days when they would recruit people and how they would end up recruiting young people. So most of the time, it wasn't necessarily them recruiting someone, it was the person themselves trying to get into the gang and doing things to try and get into the gang to get this name for themselves. And it was more about the name, being a part of the gang. His aunt was being interviewed and she said that he only wanted love. He was a good kid and stuff, and you can see where at that age you would have only wanted love and then end up turning to the streets. And the people who he trusted is the same people who ended up taking his own life, his fellow gang members. What actually happened on August 28, 1994? He was ordered by his fellow gang members to do a favor for them, and this favor was to do with him doing a shooting that ended up hitting 3 people and unfortunately taking the life of Siobhan Dean, a bystander. He ended up going on the run for the last 3 days of his life. From August the 28th till August the 31st, he was on the run. It was all over the press, got national attention and made headlines due to his age and him being on the run for murder, the murder of Siobhan. It was then said that he was known to have been with other gang members at the time. Throughout them 3 days while he was hiding out, he was at different locations. He then went back to his own neighborhood, where on the 31st of August, he was standing at the front porch asking someone to call his grandmother. And then came these 2 brothers who was of the same set, who he trusted the most, the Hardway brothers, Craig and Derek. They were members of the BDs. They said to him that they were given orders to take him to a safe location where he can finish hiding out. He then got into this car where they took him to an underpath and ended up shooting him twice in the head and killing him. They did that to him because a hit was put out on his head by one of the leaders in the BDs because they feared that he knew too much information about the gang. They were mainly using him to go from place to place, drop this off, do that here, and by doing that he would have known specific locations. He might have also known the leaders and other crimes that they committed. There was a whole lot of information that they thought he could have give to the police that would result in them being taken off the streets. They couldn't risk it. So they then ordered these 2 Hardway brothers to carry out this hit. And someone made the decision to put a hit out on him. On the 31st of August, later on that day, Hardway brothers were caught and arrested for the murder of Robert Yummy Sandifer. A month later, they were given 60 years and 45 years. In 2014, they then came out and decided to speak on the situation, since they had a lot of time to think and they were now adults, because at the time of the situations they were teens themselves. One was 16, the other one was 15.
So they ordered Craig to kill him.
Why did Robert die?
By means of not my control.
And was it your life versus his life?
Absolutely.
You thought it was that simple as either you do this or you die.
And that's how it always boils down. It's not like any wiggle room when you live in that lifestyle.
So you're saying you had no other choice?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So that was Craig, the one who was actually given the order. He said he didn't have a choice. He went home and he told his brother what he was about to do, and his brother wouldn't let him go alone. His brother Derek wouldn't let him go alone, so he ended up going with him, and that's how both of them ended up on the same case, being charged for this. Doing 25 to life. Derek was the one who also expressed and told how the gang actually worked and abandoned them, and no one paid for no legal fees or anything. Till this day, as you heard Craig said, it's of a higher power. It was beyond him. He didn't know, he couldn't control it. And I truly believe this is factual. And also because of the situation, he was betrayed by his own gang. He was innocent to all of it. Because of that, there is some sort of power that now still exists to this day when you look at the gang, and that's why most of the times they will snake each other in a heartbeat. In this situation, 3 of them was snakes, right? This would leave a negative effect on the gang, because Yummy Sandifer would have wanted revenge and he would have gotten revenge, and that's why there is so much people died and stuff, especially when it comes to like the back door and this backdoor thing existing because of this Yummy Sandifer situation. He holds some sort of power when it comes to Chicago gangs and betrayal. Tupac did an interview and he had Yummy's picture in the back of him, and he was speaking about gangs and thug life and how he got thug life and the street life, and as soon as he mentioned gang and the street life, Yummy's picture fell.
Pardon me. But thug life is like the 12th grade. Some people graduate from high school and don't seek to do anything else. So they continually live the thug life. Some people want to go to college.
This video was called Robert Yummy Sandifer's Ghost Reveals Himself in Tupac's Prison Interview. And as you can see there, he was talking about thug life and then school, and then the picture just fell out of nowhere. This is of a higher power, and what they did to him back then, they are still paying. The BDs are still paying for this, and people who join the gang will have to face that effect as well. This was everything to do with betrayal. That's why it would never stop. Like the betrayal and the backdoor and stuff, that would never stop. It will continue as long as it's part of Chicago because of this Yummy Sandifer situation. He was innocent, loved the people he was around. He loved and trusted the people he was around. That's why he did all those stuff for them. And you know, he was probably happy at the time that he was part of the gang, the BDs, the Black Disciples, that he was part of the Black Disciples, only to then have a hit sent out to him by his own set because they feared he was going to give information. This was the shocking story of Robert Yummy Sandifer, whose life was taken by his fellow gang member.